Hey everyone, welcome to our second episode with Adobe for Education, and we're talking about distance learning today. Today we're going to be talking about 5 ways social media can make distance learning more effective. So I'm Clara Galan. I work on the Adobe Education team here in San Francisco, California, and I manage educator community programs. So figuring out ways to connect educators virtually and also in person. Tanya, let's hear from you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya Averith, and I work on the same team as Clara, as on the evangelism side. And so I work as the education evangelist. And my role here at Adobe is helping schools and teachers understand how we can leverage technology in a more powerful way so that we can really get students creating and understanding how to be creative problem solvers. And I also work on engagement with community with Clara. And so we're really here for you. We want you to know that we're here to answer your questions. We're here to learn about you and your classroom, and we're really here to support you. And that's really our main role. So we're so thrilled. I'm so thrilled because I'm such a fangirl. But we asked Dr. I to come on today. I'm going to let her introduce herself. But go ahead, Dr. I, and why don't you share a little bit about who you are and what you do? And just, I'm a fangirl, and I think all of you will be as well.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I am a super fan of Adobe and Adobe Education. So really honored to be here. And I'm a professor. I taught in the classroom for 10 plus years, mainly in higher education in the United States and even globally in a few countries. And now I mainly do consulting. I help other educators and teachers understand the power of social media and how they can effectively incorporate social media into their curriculum, into their classroom to enhance student engagement and learning outcomes.
Which is so important. As I've kind of shared with you both, but I'll share with everyone else. I used to teach a class on that called personal branding and digital communication for high school students. So I mean, Doctor and I, we share a brain because this is really important. So I know that Clara, you had some questions.
Yeah, definitely. And in that spirit, Dr. I, we're so excited to have you on. And I know the 3 of us have talked about different strategies for best using social media to connect educators to one another. And in light of so many schools moving to virtual environments, how can we really leverage the tools that we use for professional development and other social media means to connect with students? And so for those who are just joining in, I see more people coming in. Hi, Diana. Nice to see you. Hi, Patrick and Heather, Sherry. So it's great to see a big group of educators joining in. If you're just joining in now, be sure to use the chat. If you have questions, we're going to be answering those live and hearing from Dr. I. But it's challenging right now for all of us as we're trying to navigate these new environments and figuring out more ways that we can connect to students. So Dr. I, how are you I know you have kids at home too. How are you managing that right now with your daily work and your show and everything else?
I mean, like my children are pretty young, like 5 years old and 8 years old. So the 5 years old is a little bit easier to manage in terms of learning. So our 8 years old, we definitely incorporate like Adobe Spark into his curriculum. I design his agenda, what needs to do, what needs to happen on the next day, and homework, workbook, and using social media and trying to leverage creative technologies to make learning more relevant and more fun.
Huh. And again, I know see more people joining in, and I know that's Tanya. That's something that you're also kind of balancing too. How is it going for you?
So humanizing our situation is, I think I go through moments of grief, which I actually read an article. It was a psychologist who wrote it it was a Harvard article that was published by a Harvard professor, and he was talking about how we're genuinely going through grief. We're grieving our current situation. We're grieving the idea that our lives might not ever necessarily be the same. And we're going through moments of up and down. And I feel like I do that on a daily basis where I'm blessed and I'm grateful, to still be working. My father's lost his job. So I go through moments of despair where I'm super worried about my family. And so I think like it affects everyone, and this is affecting everyone personally. I'm grateful that right now our family is safe and not sick. And I pray that that remains the same. And so I think that it's really like a time right now for us to come together as a community. And I look forward to being able to connect with all of you. Like these streams keep me grounded and human. And I love the ability for people to be able to talk to each other. I look forward to Twitter chats because I can connect with other people. And so right now I strive for connection, and I wonder maybe those of you who are watching, if you're feeling the same way. And that's why we decided to do these streams, because I think we're all kind of in a space right now where this is really important for us to feel and know that we're not alone and have an opportunity to hear from each other. So that's kind of where I've been at.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing now more than ever so many educators coming together on Twitter and in Facebook groups and even on live streams. So many different series that have spun up from this, just to bring that support and know that we're not alone. Even though we may feel alone and we're in our homes, what a powerful tool we have with social media. And I feel so lucky that we have that.
I mean, Heather has a good point here. She's saying our students are feeling so many of those emotions too. So that connection is so critical. And that's so true, right? I think that more than just the assignments, just like my son who's 8 years old, he looks forward to having his Zoom calls because he gets an opportunity to spend time with his friends, and they have a recess together. And what they've started doing, it's so cute. They put on music and they take turns listening to music from home. It's so cute, but like they need that. Or my daughter, who's hasn't played Minecraft in forever or Roblox, all of a sudden is on Roblox. And I'm okay with it because guess what? She's playing with her friends and they're in a world together, and they've made this new place that they can hang and chill and be together. So I think that it's interesting to see how students are coping and how they're making sense of the world as well.
Totally. I think one of the basic human needs is to be a part of a group, right? We all have that sense of, we need that sense of belonging. We actually belong to a group or community. And this is where social media and technology really come in so powerful and create this amazing space for us to collaborate, to have that human connection.
So can you share a little bit about how you use social media for your classroom? Because this is not new for you. And I think it would be nice to kind of get a bit more of the context in terms of like what you do and what you teach, because I think it's really fascinating and very forward thinking. I don't think a lot of people necessarily are in that frame of mind. So would you be willing to share a little bit about that?
Oh, totally. Thank you. And I actually started my kind of social media journey as a professor quite a few years ago when I realized like the sage on the stage model is broken. Like our students, they need to learn not only from one teacher who is standing in front of the class, but actually from professionals, from other students in our country and outside of the United States on a global level. So I realized that was like a big wake-up call for me. And also at the same time, I realized many of our students, even though we call them like digital natives, they are very savvy using social media, but they don't know how to use technology to build their personal brand, to network, to market who they are for learning purposes. They have no idea. Most of them use social media for entertainment. They watch a video here and there. So that is another wake-up call. And then I decided to change how I use social media to show my students the power of technology. So I actually started like Twitter. I organized Twitter chat. I asked my own students to organize their Twitter chat. I also started a live streaming show 3 years ago. And the intention was to be a better teacher. I interviewed so many amazing thought leaders, industry influencers to come to my class to teach my students, and we learn from each other. We collaborate, we co-create. It is a great way for our students to network. Like my students have gained like intern, like networked with people from Forbes, and it is amazing. And so that's kind of how I got started on this journey.
So I want people to understand the power of asking. Because I feel like very often people don't realize, like, sometimes you just need to ask. So can you share some of the people? Because I'm super amazed by some of your guests. Like, it blows my mind when I look at your guests. So
Yeah,
like,
they're amazing.
can you share, like, just because I want people to understand, like, who are some of the guests you've had in your classroom and how did you get them on? Like, what did that take? So can you share that?
Yeah, I mainly teach public relations classes, communication classes, and marketing classes. So those people are kind of the thought leaders in marketing. So it's okay if you don't know those names. Like Seth Godin is really a superstar. I really love his work. He has come to the show. Mark Schaefer has come to the show. Neil Patel has come to the show. And I recently just interviewed this guy who is the former VP of innovation and creativity at Disney. And he charges $25K for a keynote. I mean, like, it is incredible. And he dropped so much knowledge. And people in my community, they told me they have to watch it like twice to fully digest his content. And it is amazing. Like the learning, like, I'm mainly a facilitator, and it is incredible. And I feel so thankful for those people. Actually, if you have the courage to ask, you will discover there are so many people who want to serve, especially if you are a professor, you are a teacher, you are teaching the next generation. Those people, they are willing to share, to serve, to give their heart out. And like a quick story. So before I had a personal brand, and every single semester, I always tried to bring in some speakers from the industry to teach my classes. And I struggled so much. I only had maybe like 4 or 5 people, and I used them every single semester until they got so tired of me, and I got so tired of them. So, but after I started to become really active online, building my personal brand using Twitter, LinkedIn, live streaming to network, oh my God, every single semester, I have a waiting list of people. They were like, Dr. I need to talk to your students. I have something to share. This is what happening in our industry. They need to learn this. It was a major transformation. And the only thing I did was really to put myself out there and learn how to use those free tools a lot more strategically and intentionally. And that really blew my mind away. And my students, they were like, wow, that is crazy.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just taking that first step. I know it can be really intimidating, but there's so many educators and industry professionals out there who are willing to share, and that's the beauty of social media. And
totally, yeah. And like another assignment I did was like for students, right? We do informational interview. So let's say that you have students in English, in literature, in physics, psychology, whatever they are learning. So they can interview those professionals in their field and to build that professional connection. They can even host their own live streaming show. They can start a podcast using Anchor. They can start blogging on Medium, on LinkedIn. They can start their own Twitter chat. Why always support others? They can be their own magnet, right? To attract recruiters, other thought leaders to themselves. And those are amazing ways for our students not only to learn, but also to share what they have learned with others. I think social media is not only for entertainment, but to really teach our students how they can use this to educate, to inspire, and to even create social movement on a global level.
Absolutely. And we've seen a lot of that. I live in South Florida, and I taught 8 miles from Stoneman Douglas, which is where on February 14th, I think it was 2 years ago now, they had that terrible tragedy happen. And I had students that were really just like entrenched in March for Our Lives. And these are, high school freshmen to seniors, so 14 through 18-year-olds who had really taken charge through social media,
Totally.
and also like schooling the old guys who are like, like they are the masters of the internet,
100%.
right? And it's amazing when we are able to then really recognize how we can leverage the tools
Totally.
to be able to reach the masses, and that we can have a positive voice.
Totally. And even like for teachers, we need to accept that our students may know more than us, and we need to be willing to say, I'm sorry, guys, I don't know this. Let's figure this out together. Or like, teach me, right? So I think students, they also need to know they have the agency and they know something, and we need to give that agency back to the students. What can you teach me? And another thing for them to really like, when you are incorporating social media, we all know, even now we are using StreamYard and so many tools, they change on a daily basis.
Yep.
So what a better way to teach our students about becoming a lifelong student than actually showing them, hey, this is changing. We have to learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? So that is something I really want to teach my students. Everything, knowledge is organic. You learn something from me, but you also need to be on this journey of unlearning and relearning.
I love that. So if I was like if I'm watching right now, and this is so relevant now because we're home, we're learning. I mean, I'm sure you will all agree, like even those of you watching, if you think about it, I really believe, and I think I said this last week, like we're going to have the biggest, and I hate saying reform because it's been used in such a poor way in the past, but I do think, and I'm hoping that there's a silver lining in education, and that we're going to have to go back and have some really serious questions about the purpose of school, how the way we teach, and right, like how we teach, like really looking at the pedagogy behind the way we structure our lessons,
100%.
because as we talk about learning and the way learning can look and should look, I think we've been talking about integrating technology for almost a decade. At least I have personally. I'm sure people have for a lot longer. I've been, in this role for doing this job for about 10 years now. And I think that those of us who've been doing it, have been saying it, we've been saying, come on, this is important. And people have been kind of a bit resistant. And I think after this, that resistance is going to, there's going to be a conversation because, right? So what would you say to somebody who, and not just in like K-12, but like even in higher ed, I would imagine there's probably been a bit of a resistance like in this space. So what would be some advice that you might give to people who might be interested in like exploring this? Because might be a bit scary for people. So what would you say to somebody who's a little bit resistant and give them some advice to kind of get going?
Totally. I think my best piece of advice is, as educators, we care about our students. So once you learn to remove yourself from the equation, and that will give you lots of courage. If you are doing something for the benefit of your students, I think every teacher will be more willingly to give this a try. And like for me, even like embracing camera, the other day I was looking at my very first live streaming like 3 years ago. I was like, oh my God, what did I do? It was awful. But like at the time, my intention was really try to become a better teacher. So I didn't even think much about it. Back then I don't even know how to do makeup. Seriously. It was really, really bad. And then but I was focusing on the students, trying to figure out ways that I can make my classes more engaging and more interesting, more relevant to what is happening. So that is that really helped me. So I think educators can give this a try to shift the focus from on you. I'm not ready to talk to the camera. I don't look good. I still hate my own voice. And try to move away from that, but to focus more on the learning outcomes, on the benefit of the students. And can I share my screen for a second?
Yes, please.
Yeah, please.
So there are some really quick articles. And so like, for example, this one is, am I sharing my screen right now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So this is the digital transformation of learning. And I don't know if you guys can see this clearly. So what this is saying that is, as teachers, we need to move away from the left side of the traditional way of learning and teaching more to the right side of the screen, where our students are digital learners, digital first, and they love social media, they love technology, love everything online. And here is another article. And this article, actually, when I was at Adobe Summit last year in July, I think one presenter mentioned a similar study saying that our students, they prefer to learn from YouTube videos and different social media platforms than traditional like discussions, which is very interesting. But when you think about it, that is how our students are consuming information in this day and age. Even like my own kid, right? My 8 years old watch YouTube video to learn something, to learn how to make something. I do the same. Our students, they're used to. So I think as educators, we need to connect with our students where they are. And they are on the social media platforms, and we need to connect with them where they are. Like for me, I create, like, here's another one. I create a Facebook group for every single class I teach. We also have a class hashtag. I use my hashtag on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. And this is our private Facebook group for our class. And you can use this feature called units. So all those are my lessons. And we do so much video. We don't just do an introduction. We actually share a video. And my students, they love giving each other hearts and likes. And we use emojis. We use GIFs. It is such an amazing platform. I also do video myself. It is so sad sometimes when my student told me, Dr. I, for some of my online classes, I don't even know if the teacher is a she or he, if the teacher has a foreign name like mine. Like my name is pretty foreign. If you don't know me, you don't even know I'm a she or he. So that's really the power of video. Like we do Zoom chat, we do Messenger. I also use a live streaming to host my office hour. I call those like coffee chat. They bring their coffee, I bring my coffee. I just go live privately in my group, and we have a chat about their life, about what's going on. So another key point of incorporating this, then I will stop talking. I told Clara I love talking about this.
No, this is great.
Stop me.
It's very different. It's great.
Yeah, so here's an article published by LinkedIn Learning. I love LinkedIn Learning. And so they listed top skills that most companies need in 2020. I think this is more relevant for high school students and definitely college age students. So under their hard skills, and they were talking about quite a few like computer-based skills, like for example, marketing. And I think our students need to understand, regardless of your academic background, you need to have the ability to engage in storytelling and story selling, to market yourself, to market your skills, to showcase who you are, and sales and video production. That's the last one. Adobe Video is really good, Spark Video, and learn to use those things to showcase who you are in a more holistic manner. And I agree, the tell me economy is over. We are in today's show me economy. And going back to your question, Tanya, if we really care about our students, help them be on this show me economy. And I think social media is a really powerful way to kind of, show me who you are, show me your face, your personality, your skin color, your accent. And like my classroom, we have students from Nigeria, seriously, like
amazing.
Be part of this. And I shared a screenshot with you the other day, just like so many different countries. Anyway.
I love that. I love that. And it's all about those human connections too. So even if it's in a virtual environment versus in person, just showing who you are, putting a human face to that and building those relationships. Sherry just commented that today teachers in Zoom were asking about how can they help students with their emotional needs. And I love that example that you gave of having coffee in the morning with your students and just understanding what, even beyond the academic material, what's going on in their lives, how can you
take a moment to ask them, like share, or share a little bit about what's going on, to have a check-in with the kids, like just asking them.
Totally, 100%. And research has shown when students have built an emotional connection with the class, with the teacher, they learn better. So, and even for people to donate money to school, they donate money not because of the rank of a particular university, but really because of the impact that one teacher has made on this particular person's life. So I think those examples really showcase the power of that, emotional connection, especially in given what is happening right now.
Yeah. And with a lot of teachers kind of taking that initial step and seeing the power of social media, I know you have 5 tips on how social media can make distance learning more effective. And I know many of those joining in from the chat all around the world are kind of embarking on these new waters and navigating this territory for the first time. And would love to kind of hear how we can get started and how we can really leverage social media to make distance learning more effective.
Yeah, totally. Some of the examples I already mentioned, but I can just kind of summarize this one more time.
That would be great.
So the first one is to really build a global network to enrich classroom discussion. And I think when you learn how to use the social media strategically, you can really collapse time and space to co-create, right? Like Adobe Spark has that collaboration feature. I love it. And even when you go live, I see we have someone from Germany. That is incredible, right? And that is a great way to help our students understand some of the assumptions that they have. And when I was interviewing this guy from Disney last week, and he shared something that is so powerful. And I have to share with you guys. It is diversity is innovation. Diversity is innovation. So powerful, right? So when you think about it, when you are using social media, you will have people not only from one country, but from so many countries to come to join you, right? When you have that level of diversity, it is a great way to force our students to reflect on their version of reality, right? And even like we did this exercise asking people to draw a house, like people from different countries, they will draw a house very differently. Some, their roof is triangle and some is like different shape. So like that is a great way, through differences, you engage in self-awareness and self-reflection. And to me, that is a great way to enrich classroom discussion. So that is kind of number one. And the second one is to really build an online presence to attract more career opportunities for our students and even for the class. And I kind of shared the story earlier. Before, I was struggling to find the speakers to come to my class. But after I became really active, sharing my teaching lessons, connecting with my students, using my own hashtags, and more professionals, they started recognizing me. They're like, who is this teacher? So interesting. And those connections have become my students' like internship opportunities, interview opportunities. Like my network has become their learning opportunities. And I just love it. Like my students get an internship and they interviewed quite a few people in my network and they love that. Those connection networking is so critical. And then even when I think 2 years ago, I got featured on Forbes and my students got a shout out, my university got a shout out. They were like, Dr. I, this is crazy. Like, it's not about me. This could happen to you. Everyone join us live right now. This could happen to every single person. So that's number 2. And number 3 is really to enhance student engagement and learning outcomes. I think this is really big for many educators. And I'm not sure about you, like many of my students, they really struggle with online classes. And especially classes taught in a very traditional manner, like you just read, like everything's in written format. And that's really challenging for our students to consume, to learn that way, especially when there's no sense of community. So when you are using like social media, as I mentioned, I have hashtag, I'm on Instagram. My students also follow me on Instagram. They see me, eating an apple, right? And they see me with my husband, with my children. I also have my Facebook group and to nurture like community building. We give students shout out. We celebrate their birthdays. We do coffee chats. We run this as a company, right? And to really add so many human elements. They are not just a name or a number to me, but we are human beings. So we connect. So once they have that human connection with you and with other classmates, and the engagement is just like, It's really good. Oftentimes I couldn't keep up with my students' comments, and oftentimes they are actually helping each other in the private chat, which is always very encouraging to see. And so another one is, I think that's number 3. And number 4 is to really bridge the gap between industry and academia. And here is another article I can share in the comment section. So this one is a really comprehensive study they did last year. So talking about really arguing our students do not have hard skills and soft skills to be future ready, not even be future ready to find jobs. As they graduate to be ready for the job market, they don't have those skills. And I think a way to overcome this is to actually expose our students to professionals as much as possible while they are still like at school, high school or maybe even middle school, and in college for sure, maybe give them assignment, do a podcast interview. Don't just do a paper for me. Share your study, share your work in the public space. I am an advocate of bringing learning to the public space. And which can be a little bit controversial, I agree. But if you learn how to do this right, and you will see that students' work will be noticed by other professionals. Isn't that the purpose of learning?
Totally.
You don't learn for the teacher, you actually learn and validate your ideas, validate your teaching in the market, right? So
Absolutely.
like my student, we do Adobe Spark for sure, and we share, use our hashtags. We also do LinkedIn article. They also do live streaming interview. I give them like assignment. I really push them outside of their comfort zone. Like even like our students, my undergraduate students, they're like, oh, I don't know how to talk to the camera. I have never done a live before, but it is a great learning curve for them to go through. And last but not least is to really equip our students with 21st century skills, knowledge, and mindset. And I kind of mentioned earlier, LinkedIn Learning, like a McKinsey report, so much report has shown like understanding new media, understanding social media, marketing, storytelling, and story selling. Like how well can you present yourself in this digital age? And now everyone is learning how to work remotely and how to build a personal brand. It is more and more important. And I interviewed so many people. They told me before they even read that resume, they actually Google the students, right? So when you
Absolutely.
Google yourself, like one activity I do with my own students is Google yourself. They're like, oh my God, that is up. So it is a great way for them to engage in reflection and do a social media audit, kind of clean up their social media digital footprint. It is so, so important. And also, as things change, I mentioned that earlier, learn, unlearn, and relearn, because technology is always changing. Disruption is always happening. And to really train them, you don't, once you graduate, that is the beginning of learning.
Yeah.
It's not the end
Absolutely.
of learning. So
Absolutely.
those are kind of some of my tips. Yeah.
Oh my God, these are so fantastic. And we definitely have you back. There's no question about it. And we want to thank all of you for joining today. We see such wonderful comments and conversations, and we want you to make sure to understand that the conversations aren't going to end. You can continue, especially in our Facebook group, to continue adding your comments long after the stream is finished live. We'll come in and we can definitely keep an eye on what's going on. We're going to be back. So Clara, do you want to share a little bit about our next week's show?
Yes, so we're going to be doing this live stream every Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. Next week, we're going to have Jennifer Williams, who will be joining us from Florida. She'll be talking about SDG goals and some of the other work that she's been doing with the Adobe Education team.
So this is available. There's some good questions they're asking. Would this be available to watch again? So yes, we will be able to watch this again in multiple spaces. One will be on our Facebook, Adobe for Education. It's being streamed live and it stays on, so you can definitely go back and watch it there. And it will also be downloaded, and our future episodes will be uploaded onto our Adobe for Education YouTube channel. And so you'll be able to go back and see them there as well. So this will be an ongoing show. It's our Adobe Creative Educator show, and we're really excited to continue this every week. And we're also looking for suggestions, ideas. We want to hear from you. So please let us know what content you're looking for. What are the things that you're really hungry for right now? Please comment underneath. Take a moment if you're watching live. Please make sure that you share what it is that you're looking for so that we can better serve you. So Dr. I, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm honored to serve. So if you guys have any questions, I see some questions, and feel free to ask me or mention in the Facebook group or tag me. I will do my best to help.
And definitely check out our remote learning page on our distance learning page on our edX. So if you go to edX.adobe.com/distance learning, you'll be able to access it there as well. And we have, we'll also have a lot of these streams available there with our webinars as well. So yeah, there you go. So we have it linked inside of our Facebook, so you can catch anything you're missing there as well. So please feel free to go check it out. We have a plethora of resources. Our team, Brian and Magda, and our team at Adobe has been working tirelessly around the clock to get this up and ready. So please definitely go and check it out. It's really wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you all, and loving the comments in here. Russell has said, love these stories, and today has been a huge encouragement. And that's so great to hear. That's our purpose every week, to connect everyone together. And thank you again to Dr. I for joining us.
Thank you so much, and truly made my day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week at 12:30 p.m. Pacific.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching. Click the link in the description below to explore more free online professional development, and click the link on screen to subscribe to the channel for more videos.